Today I would like to talk about which are my favorite Disney theme parks in order. Well, at least the 6 in the US. I've never been to the international ones. And even though I love them all almost equally, there are definitely some favorites. I'm going to start with the least and go to the top. From 6 to 1. Counting them down. Welcome everyone, hey, Adam, the Woo here. Now keep in mind these are just my opinions based on nostalgia, my life, circumstances, memories. Everyone is not going to share the exact thought pattern. Oh, that's warm. And right out of the gate, I will just eliminate number 6 being Animal Kingdom and number 5 being DCA, Disney California Adventure. I enjoy going into both of those places, but not nearly as much as the top 4. So even though it's the top 6, it's really just a top 4. I'm inviting you to join me as I just ramble a bit. Shall you? Getting that last one down low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I should also mention that this is a current time frame. What are my faves during this moment, April of 2020? Earlier in my life would have been a little bit of a different list, but this is current day, and the my fourth favorite of all the Disney theme parks might come as a little bit of a shock. It is Magic Kingdom, Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom in Central Florida. While it is a great place to go for events, for example, Christmas Day, New Year's, certain festivities that they are having, or if family and friends would like to go there, it is not my go-to first and foremost. Granted, they do have Country Bear Jamboree, they do still have the People Mover, Carousel of Progress, and a few other ones that the Anaheim Resort does not have. However, I'm still putting it that far down the list. It is magical, but it's not number 1. These are very tough decisions, trust me. The entire WDW resort is a wonderful place that I spend many hours, weeks, months, and years at. This is a pretty good book about the first decade, and even though it says Disney World, the first decade, other than basically the hotels, resorts, was their Magic Kingdom. Look at that wonderful old school logo there on the opening pages. Some great photographs in here, including Cinderella Castle. And Roy, Walt's brother, giving the opening day speech. Walt had already passed on, but his brother carried the torch, made sure it was completed, that his brother's vision would be seen through. One of his brother's many visions that came to fruition and still live on. Gotta love some pirates. Speaking of that People Mover, there it is, as well as Space Mountain. And some behind the scenes, the Utilidors. Look at this cast of characters just cruising around on the cart there. Even promoting Discovery Island, which no longer exists. The island's still there, but it is not accessible to park guests anymore. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And I guess Mickey, because he's wearing that frontier style cap didn't get the memo about hats and glasses, you best remove them. I'd really like to see the Dapper Dan singing while on a tandem style bicycle. And who could forget the Main Street Electrical Parade? And check this out, back when 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was still an attraction. Here is them transporting one of the vessels from California to Florida. One of the 12. I am so thankful this still exists, at least on the East Coast. Holding strong at MK. One of the key factors that separates the Florida section away from the West Coast counterpart resorts is space. Walt stated, "There's enough land here to hold all the ideas and plans we could possibly imagine." That's very true. Carries on to this day. And speaking of, this gentleman in the boat kind of looks like Mr. Disney. It's not. It kind of looks like him. Very similar. I've created, shared, and continually developed a lot of memories at this place. In fact, it was the first Disney park I ever set foot in as a young boy. My mom took my family and myself there. Probably helped install a little nostalgia and love for the place. Florida's Magic Kingdom, truly a wonderful place. And where, back in the day, you could see a tobacconist. A tobacco-neist. I love it here. But moving on. Staying in the same state of Florida. Number 3, my third favorite of the parks. Hollywood Studios, which I will always refer to in my head. Maybe not verbally because it's been a while since it's been called that, but MGM Studios. Now, if you would have asked me what my favorite park was back in 1991 to probably 97, the number 1 would have been Disney's MGM Studios. And I still hold it in high regards, even though a lot is gone, a lot has reared its head on that current property, whether it be Toy Story Land, whether it be Galaxy's Edge, Star Wars Land. There's a lot of goodness there and a lot of memories, a lot of heavy memories for me. It was the first place I ever went where they showed me how television and movies behind the scenes were made, in the first tram tour I ever went on, and I learned a lot. I love that whole area of making movies and how things are done, a little behind the scenes look into Hollywood. In fact, fun fact, part of the reason I moved onto Hollywood Boulevard years ago, I've moved out of there since, now I'm down in Orange County, but part of the reason I moved to Hollywood is my love for MGM Studios and those facades based on the real life Hollywood counterparts. Kind of bizarre, but it's the truth. Even though the name has changed, I spend a heck of a lot of time when I am in Florida visiting this property. Great Movie Ride was my favorite. But I also thoroughly enjoy and love Mickey's Runaway Railway. It's a good one. And I'm just happy to be able to go back in that building again. So it's kind of a combination of nostalgia and the way things used to be. By the way, this was given to me by a guest on the 30th anniversary last year of the studios. And the hidden Mickey. It's hard to see it nowadays if you're looking from a satellite view, but there is a hidden Mickey in front of the Chinese theater, and was also given this napkin. So a combination of the past, some very happy and intense memories of my love for what it used to be, and my happiness and approval of what they're now putting in the place. You can always find me there on my Florida visits. All the time. Here's a guide map I have from 1998, way before Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land. The Earful Tower still there. Catastrophe Canyon up top. Backlot tour. And that was after Sunset Boulevard had been erected over here and Tower of Terror came into play. You'll notice there is no rock and roller coaster quite yet. And the pathway here where John Ritter did that opening day promotional video right next to the Brown Derby, that's still there to this day, where Mr. Ritter opened the park. I could really go on and on and on about this place in the past and current day. I'm happy they've kept up with the old theming, but carried on new traditions. Remember and continuing the magic. Pre-digital photographs. Number 2. It was very close to number 1. But number 2, Epcot Center. There is, as with the other parks, there is a lot taking place. The future, no pun intended, because they used to have, Future World, even though they've kind of dropped that name and are phasing that out. I am very content with what is going to be happening there. Highly approve of finally a little TLC, a little love being shown to a now back to being all capitalized Epcot. They've dropped the center, but they are giving a little nod to the old school by bringing it all back. Capital E, capital P, capital C, capital O, and capital T. I know my face was a little out of focus in that last frame, but let's be realistic. The poster that I got at D23 a couple years ago is way more important than my noggin. If you have not kept up with the renovations at all, they have already pretty much removed Communicore West. So Communicore is a thing of the past. However, it will open up to a more spacious area, a visual of the land, Journey to Imagination and Living Seas, which is going to be pretty fantastic when completed. Speaking of not completed, at the time of this guide map, Norway was still being built. Universe of Energy is being revamped. Well, a considerable revamp. Not even close to what it was. It's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. And while I love the dinosaur scene, like everyone else, I was not too happy with the later years, and think something new is something to look forward to. I never have, and most likely never will, lose my love for this place. Progress is inevitable. But what a feeling walking in. And they're bringing a lot of it back, like the spires in front of Spaceship Earth. Don't call it a golf ball. Don't you dare call it a golf ball. Please don't. Spaceship Earth under its construction. 180 feet in diameter and rises some 18 stories high. I might be one of the few who truly enjoy still going on Imagination and seeing Figment. It is nothing like it used to be, and if they ever decide to revamp it, I would not be opposed to seeing this gentleman in there once again, but I still board the transportation device and go through. See old Figment, who was kind of Epcot's Mickey Mouse for a while. Ah, World Showcase. That's what really separates this from other theme parks. Incredible walk around the countries around the lagoon. And the American Adventure, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen it, to check it out. It's still active. Groundbreaking animatronics. Absolutely incredible show. Always a nice cruise through the boat ride which is now Three Caballeros, but in the Mexico Pavilion, that Olmec head could still be seen as you're passing the pyramid. It's on the left before you go through the tunnel. A lot of learning and imagination went into Epcot, and still does. A very good quote from Ray Bradbury. The only people I see who are successful at changing the world are right here. People with very special dreams. Of all the groups in the world, while everyone else is busy talking, Disney is doing the stuff that's really going to count. That brings me to number 1 on my list. It goes without saying, without question, that it would be Walt's original Magic Kingdom in Anaheim, California, Disneyland. There is a number of reasons why I live in Southern California. The weather, the movie and television history in Los Angeles, and not discarding those other two, the fact that Disneyland is only a few miles from my current residence. I can be there in 10 minutes to the parking structure, is a wonderful thing. I truly love Disneyland, the vibe, the community, the size of it, how easy it is to just meander around and soak in the ambiance, the fact that Walt Disney himself had his hand in everything there in its creation prior to 1955 and on opening day and up until his passing. And it has carried on, even though a lot has changed. There is a lot that is precisely the same currently. It's my favorite Disney park, without a doubt. And while I am a pass holder to both coasts and go regularly to west and east, there's just something extra special about walking in here in Orange County. It's tough to explain unless you've experienced it on a regular basis, either a couple times a week, weekly, even monthly. You know, more than 5, 6, 10, 15 times a year you start to understand what I'm mentioning. And notice this tray states Magic Kingdom. Some people do not agree that I should ever call it the Magic Kingdom and just say Disneyland, but prior to '71, before Florida opened its rendition, that's what it was called. That is Sleeping Beauty Castle, not Cinderella Castle. I own a couple of really in-depth books as far as history and photographs. This one came out relatively recently, called Walt Disney's Disneyland. You can see it has a lot going on there. And this came out years ago, the first quarter century. I'm going to thumb through both of these. I don't want the public to see the world they live in while they're at Disneyland. I want them to feel like they're in another world. And you do. He had the vision to create a 19th century Main Street. A lot of behind the scenes here. And I hold every other theme park to this standard. Well, not this standard. This is when it wasn't completed, but you know what I mean. The official opening of the Grand Canyon section. There's Walt standing right there to the entrance of the tunnel. All of these spots you can see when you visit the park, and you can match all of them up where Walt stood. And did you know that mermaids used to hang out on the rocks there? In the submarine lagoon? There goes. You know the rest. On site constantly, making sure everything was correct. I know a lot of people who have never been out to the California park because they think, oh, it's just too small. Why would I go to a smaller version? I want to go to the main spot. But this was the creator of all of it. And he's standing at these spots that still exist in Anaheim. Maybe it's just me, but that's pretty fantastic. It has been said many times that this is the last photograph of Walt and Mickey together. The fire truck, which still runs down Main Street, USA. Still does, that same one. Now to this edition. I don't want to show everything that's in here, but some of it needs to be shown. Look at this pull-out poster. It's the first thing when you open it up. Well, one of the first things. Years prior to DCA, you could just pull your classic car right up to the front. Can't do that anymore. When he wasn't at his Los Angeles home or at the studios in Burbank, he was camping out in his apartment above the fire station, which still exists to this day, and they've placed a lantern, a light in the window looking out over Main Street, which even during these closures is still on, even though no guests are currently in the park. The lamp's still on. This always blows my mind, just being on Main Street and Walt comes cruising by on a vehicle, signing autographs. Can you imagine? This is something I wish they'd bring back. Real mountain climbers on the side of the Matterhorn. You don't see that anymore. Take a look at Bob Gurr here, young Bob Gurr, shredding it through the dirt in an Autopia vehicle. He's responsible for pretty much anything that moves as far as on wheels or ride vehicles in the park. Gotta love Bob. Another photograph of Walt in front of construction of Small World. There's just so much in this book. Don't want to give it all away, but this thing is worth a purchase. I don't have this Mickey clock plugged in. It doesn't really work. Kind of works, but doesn't keep very good time, so I just unplugged it. But it is classic. I have it set to 10:04. That's another subject matter, but just you might know why. Still recalling how long the line was to get this little figment from Epcot's 35th. It was lengthy, as is for a lot of special edition merchandise. That's going to do it for today. If you're new here, please subscribe by doing so. It helps keep you in the loop and up to date on future uploads here on this channel. You can take it a step further and ring that notification bell, and if you enjoyed this particular episode, give it a big thumbs up. It lets me know you care. I'll see you in the next video. The vlog is over. I got this last year on the day of the 64th anniversary birthday. That means coming up very soon is the 65th. Very soon. July 17th. I really hope it can be open on that day.